Winnipeg this weekend, we had the opportunity to host the executive of the Canadian School Boards Association, which has representation from publicly elected school boards all across the country. So we took the opportunity to have the presidents of the associations who are in attendance here this weekend to provide their thoughts on what local voices, local choices means to them.
My name is Laurie French, and I'm very proud to serve as a public school board trustee representing Greater Napanee on the Limestone District School Board in Ontario. I'm the president of the Canadian School Board Association and so pleased to work with colleagues who are committed to students and public education in Canada. I'm a proud graduate of public education. My children are graduates of public education. I know my community and I know my schools, and that's important when we look to the future and how we're going to educate the next generation of children in our communities. We know our communities, we're the local voice for education in our hometowns. Manitoba schools have a long history of representation by locally elected school board trustees. We need to continue to support and ensure that this voice is there, that this representation happens, and that this commitment together to serve and improve our schools happens. Research has shown that strong governance practices in public education directly impact student achievement and serve our students well. Things that focus on professional development, things that focus on a strategic plan and outcomes, holding your school boards accountable to ensure that the needs of students are met. These are all of the things that school board trustees do to make sure that our education system is delivering in support of our children. With the pending review on K-12 education, Manitobans need to remember their voice is important in public education, and that happens through their locally elected school board trustees. Democracy is a foundation in Canada. We've seen in the last year and a half the voice of trustees taken away in Nova Scotia, and just this week in Quebec the same has happened. This cannot happen in Manitoba.
I'm Sean Davidson. I'm a trustee with the Prairie South School Division in Saskatchewan, and I'm the president of the Saskatchewan School Boards Association. We believe very firmly that local choice is very important in education. Education belongs to community, and we know that when locally elected trustees are the decision makers, that it leads to better outcomes for kids. Local trustees are able to bring that voice and perspective to the provincial education system through their local school boards. I live in a very remote rural area, which would easily be forgotten by Regina if all of the decisions were being made centrally. We also know at the provincial level that locally elected trustees are able to form partnerships with other organizations, which again are to the benefit of our economy and our students. In Saskatchewan, we work very closely with the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, and the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce. As a result of these partnerships, we see initiatives like financial literacy in our schools through our work with the Chamber. We have memorandums of understanding with the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations and the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan to enhance outcomes for our Indigenous youth in both of our systems throughout the province. We are not certain that these types of partnerships and these types of initiatives would be possible with a centrally controlled education system. So I thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to our continued partnership with national organizations like the CSBA and the Manitoba School Boards Association to ensure that local voices, local choices, and education belongs to community are initiatives which are recognized and continued nationally.
So I'm Laurie Jess. I'm a trustee with Wolf Creek Public Schools in Ponoka, Alberta, and I am also the president of the Alberta School Boards Association. Locally elected school boards are made up of individuals who care deeply about the future of our next generation. School boards are connected with and responsive to their communities and are in the best position to meet the needs of all our students.
My name is Kathy Abraham. I'm a trustee with the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board in Ontario. I'm also president of the Ontario Public School Boards Association, representing 1.3 million English public school students in Ontario. Public school boards are important to the fabric of our community because nobody knows my community the way I do. And we feel, as public school board trustees, that when we're dealing with the education of the future of our country, that we need to be there so that your voice is heard by your government. And that's where we are in Ontario. We have 350 public school board trustees in my association alone, but that's not all of us. And every one of us brings to the table something unique, something that only we know. And your voice is through my voice, and it matters. That's why it matters that in Manitoba, you maintain your local school boards so that you maintain your local voice in your education of your students. It matters to us all. It matters not just in Manitoba, but to the entire country, that our students are educated and taken care of by our local voices.
My name is Dan Lamoureux. I am chair of the Riverside School Board in Montreal, south of Montreal, and I'm also president of the Quebec English School Board Association. As many of you may know, we've just gone through a review and a law that was passed just recently from the Quebec government, removing school boards and elected commissioners. The effect of that to the community and the citizens at large is going to be that a centralized power of decision-making made in the province through the ministry, through the local bureaucracy, as well as the minister himself. Any changes or any local feel will not be made, will not be listened to by the government. They will make a centralized decision based on, it doesn't matter what they base it on, they won't be able to have that flair or that community sense in their decision making. It's going to be all monetary, and it's going to be a reflection of what they see in a centralized bureaucracy. So ultimately, your opinion or your ability to question and to influence the decision at your local board will be completely destroyed.
My name is Carolyn Brody. I'm chair of the West Vancouver Board of Education in British Columbia and vice president of the BC School Trustees Association, and I believe that local boards matter. The power in local boards is that we have the decision-making ability to work with our local communities, our local parents, in the best interest of our students. The needs of students in rural, remote areas are very different from our needs of students in our urban areas. We have that ability to differentiate and support our students until they achieve the best they can. I believe that we need to ensure that Manitoba remains with locally elected school boards. We in British Columbia have a very close working relationship with our governments, and we are co-governors of the public education systems, the Minister of Education and boards of education, and that allows us to work in the best interest of students.
So when we have the executive of the Canadian School Boards Association here, we ask them to share some of the good things that happen in other parts of the country as well. And we heard from our colleagues in British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Quebec, where there are key examples of strong local voice and local choice. There is no evidence that forced amalgamation of school boards saves taxpayers any money, and there's certainly no evidence that forced amalgamation helps student outcomes or helps families of all socioeconomic walks of life access public education. It's quite the reverse that we see in other aspects of social programming, where decision making is centralized, local voice and local choice is eliminated. And we know, and our colleagues from around the country have reinforced the message that local schools belong to their communities and community voice is reflected by the locally elected school board. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. And if you have any other questions, you can visit localvoices.ca to learn more.